And as Greg Rosenthal reminded everybody, an annual reminder that All-Pro and MVP ballots are the same voters, which is what I just referenced. Lamar will have the most first-place MVP votes and has almost certainly won his third MVP. He goes on to write, within that thread, as expected, a close vote and the ballots now asking voters to list spots 1 through 5 adds a bit more uncertainty than usual in case some voters buried Lamar, but not much. He should win. And then Nick Wright pointed out something that some voters may split their vote and make the mental gymnastics to believe that Allen was more valuable, quote, valuable, even if not named first team. While it doesn't make sense to me, it is possible in a race with unique dynamics. So again, look, you want to talk about the percentages, the chances of Lamar being, which we now know is absolutely true, the first team All-Pro, according to the Associated Press, the NFL Players Association, Pro Football Focus, so on and so forth. What are the chances that he's not named league MVP? Well, there's a great chart here put together by a pro football writer by the name of Scott Kasmar. And Scott has been on top of this. And let me make sure I get his credentials correct here. Scott is, he's a part of the Pro Football Writers of America. And he's an NFL writer based out of Pittsburgh. I'll show you his profile real quick. He's the guy that Sarah and I have been sharing quite often, honestly, in recent days, because he's been all in on analyzing this MVP race to the nth degree. So there he is, Scott Kasmar, I think it is, or Kaxmar. So anyway, he put together an incredible chart that I wanted to share with you. Because only one time in history basically what this chart shows, there's only been one time over the last 17 years, right, that a player named first team All-Pro by the Associated Press didn't go on to win NFL MVP. And as you can see, that one exception was Adrian Peterson. He was the league MVP in 2012, but Aaron Rodgers, then with the Green Bay Packers, was named AP All-Pro, first team. So tremendous chart here with a whole lot of context put together by Scott Kasmar. But just to be clear, we're talking about the last time a first-team All-Pro quarterback didn't win the award was 2012 when Adrian Peterson was named NFL MVP. So I feel relatively comfortable sharing with you a whole lot of confidence that Lamar is MV3 bound. And what a year it was. He's the 8th quarterback since the 1970 merger to earn 3 or more first-team All-Pro selections. His others, last year, as I mentioned earlier, and 2019, which, of course, was his first MVP season and his first full season as a starter in the NFL. And like I mentioned, just to reiterate, Lamar's 30 first-place votes among 50 media members, which is a national panel that will be very similar, if not exactly similar, to the NFL MVP panel and voter list, gave him 30 first-place votes. Josh Allen had 18, and Joe Burrow had 2. This was not a close race. Whether that comes to fruition for NFL MVP remains to be seen. Ballots were due on Wednesday, like I mentioned, and then obviously that announcement won't come until the NFL Honors event in the days leading up to the Super Bowl. But that's the way distinguished folks around the NFL have spoken. The NFL Players Association has spoken. The Associated Press and 50 distinguished media members have spoken. Pro Football Focus has spoken. Richard Sherman has spoken. Many others that have votes have spoken. And it is abundantly clear that Lamar's historic, transformative season is putting him in the driver's seat for a third MVP. And I know a lot of you gearing up for tomorrow's playoff game have your vision and sights set on a different trophy, and deservedly so. But this continues to etch his legacy, put him in unique territory. And my, oh my, what a season it was for Lamar, which is absolutely being reflected by everything you're seeing right now and the accolades that continue to pour in now that the regular season is officially in the rearview mirror. We learned earlier yesterday that Zay Flowers will not be available for Lamar Jackson. He's missing this wild card game with a knee, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be ready to go if Baltimore can advance into the divisional round. And that brings me to a conversation that was had this morning on First Take between Ryan Clark, Cam Newton, and Stephen A. Smith. And it's, do you expect Lamar to struggle without his number one wide receiver, who, of course, is coming off a Pro Bowl earning nod and a 1,000-yard receiving season? Cam Newton said, not so fast.
Okay.
Lamar year like a man possessed. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson has been playing this year like a man possessed. Now, and I respect that. I think we've put him to the challenge to say nothing else matters but the Super Bowl ring. Mm-hmm. And yet he still finds ways to impress. He still finds ways to not just impress on his side, to get guys involved like the Derrick Henrys, like the Isaiah Likeleys, like the Mark Andrews, and even the Zay Flowers. And then the level of play of that team looks different than other teams. And he's accepted the truth of knowing that, yes, I have to be better than what the expectation is, and he still has delivered. So I'm going with, the Ravens primarily just off of Lamar not letting nobody down this year.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do, especially in his position. Mm-hmm. He's in the middle of a rock and a hard place, and he's still delivered.
Cam Newton always coming to the defense of Lamar Jackson, and I'm with him. Not that he needs to be defended, not that he needs to be, protected. It's that this team has never been in a situation where it is more prepared to handle the blow of losing your number one wide receiver throughout the Lamar era than they are right now. They got the deepest tight end room in the entire league. You've got one of the deepest, most versatile backfields in the entire league. And you've got a guy in Rashad Bateman who continues to prove himself in what's been a prove-it kind of year for him, with 9 total touchdowns, over 650 yards receiving. And I think when you add that in with the fact that this defense has rounded into form over the last month or so, and has talent at all 3 levels, and consistently stops the run and dominates in the trenches, and has a double. And I got to make sure that I get this correct. I think it was last night that I mentioned Kyle Van Noy and Odafe Oweh are the first duo Ravens pass rushers to hit the double-digit sack category in the same season. And I think I legitimately said Terrell Suggs and Elvis Gerback. Elvis was a quarterback. I meant Elvis Doomerville. So excuse me on that one. Just a slight little brain fart on that one. That's what I get for friggin' streaming too late last night. So there's talent on all 3 levels, and it's home field advantage, and the Ravens understand what's at stake. And this is the finishing touches of what should be a revenge. All year long it was like, do we acknowledge the AFC Championship? Do we not? Is it being over talked about? So on and so forth. And while it was addressed plenty early on, especially at the start of training camp, at the beginning of the year, for a long time now, it's really been an afterthought. But now that the postseason's here, I think the concept of going for revenge is a real thing. And this is a revenge tour, a 4-week, 4-game revenge tour that culminates in New Orleans. I just booked my accommodations, by the way. I'm going to be staying in the French Quarter, regardless of whether the Ravens are there or not, to work Radio Row for a second consecutive year. Really looking forward to that experience. But Stephen A. was on his shit. You know how it goes by now. And while he never, ever doesn't acknowledge, he never leans away from acknowledging that Lamar Jackson is all world, all time. But he does like to hang the postseason over his head. And he did exactly that today.
I want a three. I want Cam up on. I want the American public to see Cam up on the screen right now. Here's the deal, y'all. You didn't say what I needed you to say. I know you believe in Lamar Jackson. I believe in Lamar Jackson. He's an MVP candidate. The brother's all world. Mm-hmm. What you didn't say is he better not struggle. He better not struggle. I want to hear that. There's a 2-time league MVP that is all world. And the Baltimore Ravens have resurrected themselves. They've captured the AFC North. You got that bell cow that is Derrick Henry. By the way, we've been talking so much about Saquon Barkley. We just forgot that Derrick Henry ran for nearly 2,000 yards his damn self. The man ran for over 1,900 yards. Yeah. Okay? That dude, okay? You still got that dude. Yeah, Zay Flowers might be a little bit hampered. Still got Mark Andrews. They still got Bateman. They got a couple of cats that we've seen. We've seen their defense elevate. I'm sorry, I forgot who's out. I'm sorry, he's out. Zay Flowers is out. I'm sorry. My point to you is this. We've seen their defense, particularly in the last 6 weeks of the season. You see the way this defense been playing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the defense has finally shown up and has played to expectations.
Correct.
The offense has been doing its thing. Lamar Jackson has been doing his thing.
Look at Cam's face. Look at Cam Newton's face. Is this really where he wants to be spending his time today? Maybe. Maybe it's just for show.
And you got Derrick Henry. He better not struggle. This is enough's enough. This is a 2-time league MVP. 9 people in the National Football League history have won 2 league MVPs. Every single one of them is a Super Bowl champion but Lamar Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Every single one of them. At some point in time, there's nothing wrong with validating and authenticating your greatness by simply saying you got it done when it counts. We know what he's going to do in the regular season. We know what he's going to do up against suspect competition.
Suspect. Watch.
So Stephen A., you don't care that there's no Zay Flowers?
I don't care.
Okay.
Because Lamar Jackson's got Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. All right? So all I'm saying to you is this. He's that great. Mm-hmm. It's not that he's not great. It's because of his greatness that we need the expectations.
All right. No one's surprised by that, right? That's his shtick. That's the angle that he's choosing to take. So be it. Cam continues to troll him. Cam's a great asset. I love listening to Cam Newton. Let's do this once and for all. And then it won't happen again because the postseason is officially beginning and our attention should be elsewhere. We will, once and for all, entering the 2024-25 postseason, look these numbers in the eye, understand them, digest them, and then move on from them. Lamar Jackson's a different quarterback in the postseason. He is nothing short of generational in the regular season. He has a career win-loss record of 70-24. A total QBR throughout that sample size of 67. A 65% completion percentage. He makes up for 7.8 yards per attempt. He's thrown over 160 touchdowns to 49 interceptions throughout that sample size. In the playoffs, a 6-game sample size in which he's 2-4. A total QBR on average of 53, a completion percentage of 57. 6.8 yards per attempt is 1 whole yard less than his average during the regular season. And of course, he's thrown as many touchdowns as he has interceptions with 6. This is the reality. Do I think it's misunderstood in a sense? The right-hand side? And all the numbers that come along with the playoffs? Somewhat. 2019 and last year were both first-round buys. In some sense, that could go in as wins. And if you were 4-4, would it be such a big conversation? Probably not. But that's not how it works. the numbers don't lie. Lamar hasn't been good. And whether it's him getting antsy, as he said earlier this week, or a perfect storm, or inexperience earlier on in his career in 2018 and 2019, he's got to do something about it. There's nobody that's denying that. But to sit here and not have confidence while leaning on, what have you done for me lately? And oh, by the way, Lamar's done quite a bit lately. A historic season, never before seen in the history of this National Football League at the quarterback position. Why not feel good hanging your hat on being able to lean on what it was that Lamar is and was this year, and understanding why wouldn't that carry into the postseason? He's got the experience under his belt. He's been there. He's got the calluses. He's got a Hall of Fame running back now at his arsenal that he didn't have a year ago. He's got the home field advantage, at least in the wild card round. We'll see what happens after that. I choose to lean on, what have you done for me lately, rather than what you've been to this point. And that's where I'm at.